Welcome to round 2 of the High School Debate Championship. This evening, we will have on-side proposition team Antonelli and on-side opposition team Dettori. Please, debaters, introduce yourself with your name and your role in the debate.
Hello, I'm the first speaker of Proposition House. My name is Laura Corsi, and I will also do the reply.
Hi, my name is Cecilia Battaglia. I'm the second speaker of the Pro team, and that's it.
Hi, I'm Marina Floridi, and I'll be the third speaker.
Opposition team, please.
I am Beatrice Zedda, and I'll be the first and third speaker.
Hi, I'm Sofia Bonifai. I'll be the second speaker and I'll do the reply.
And please, my colleague adjudicators, introduce yourself.
Good evening, I'm Rosangela Gamba. Good luck for the coming debate.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Michaela Ricci. Good luck.
And I am Lorenzo Alessandro, the chairperson of this debate and the main adjudicator. The motion to debate today is the following. This House would abolish the ethical tax for sex workers in the porn industry. There is an info point that says in Italy, the so-called ethical tax is a 25% surcharge added on top of ordinary income tax applied to earnings derived from the production or sale of pornographic content. If you are ready, I will start with the timer. I give the floor to the first speaker of the proposition team. Please.
Okay, thank you. Before I start, I would like to say that I prefer the POIs to be made with the microphone, not with the hand. So if you want to make a POI, please open up your microphone without a problem. Okay, so my speech will start in 3, 2, 1. Okay, good evening. My name is Laura Corsi, and I will be the first speaker of the Proposition House. The motion that we are debating today is if this House would abolish the ethical tax for sex workers in the porn industry. So what can you expect from this debate? At first, I would start to give the definitions, then I will be doing the stakeholders, then the problem analysis, the burden, the criteria, and I will explain our first point. So at first, I would like to start with the definitions. So what is an ethical tax? It's a form of taxation to encourage socially responsible behaviors considered wrong by ethical criteria. We can define it as a sin tax, usually applied to behaviors that harm the society, like the tobacco industry or the alcohol industry. So the importance behind the meaning of this term is to underline the difference with the porn industry. So how alcohol and smoking can cause addiction in the same way as the porn industry. But the difference is that the ethical tax doesn't affect an industry, but an individual. And obviously, alcohol and tobacco abuse can lead to a very important health problem, while the pornographic content doesn't affect like an individual in the same way. So I would like to analyze the stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders of this debate? They are the workers, the users of the pornographic content, and the economy. So the workers, there are two main cases when this tax that isn't abolished. It's the workers that are working illegally and the fact that the workers will raise their prices. So the high taxes pushes workers into informal or unregulated behaviors to avoid the tax. So to avoid this tax in our society, there are many forms of illegal pornographic content. This causes very harmful behaviors, such as teens getting exposed to pornography too soon and risking developing an addiction. Removing it encourages compliance and access to workplace protection. So abolishing this tax, we will not only make sure that in the porn industry, the transparency and safety are increased, but we will also protect the young people and workers who will increase their prices. If they don't take the legal route, workers will inevitably be forced to make their prices higher. It's an economic rule. If the taxation increases, the monetary value of the product needs to rise to make sure that the workers can sustain a livable income. This damages the buyer, who at the end will prefer to use a legal form of pornography to avoid paying such a high price. So talking about the users of pornographic content, like why would someone buy pornographic content? They want to feel pleasure, but what they aren't doing is harming the society. What will harm the society is the fact that they will inevitably take the illegal route. So, talking about the stakeholder as the economic, like as I said before, what will inevitably happen is that the porn industry will shift and become an illegal industry. So the state won't gain that 25%. It will gain nothing from the workers who will take the illegal route and will gain less than it would normally take from the workers who will comply to this tax because their customers' number will lower. So what is the problem in this debate? The problem that this tax tries to solve but fails to do so is to reduce the pornography usage and addiction. But focusing on this problem creates a bigger issue. The illegal content will rise. So the proposition House, by abolishing this tax, wants to promote a message of transparency, solving the idea of the pornographic industry seen as shady and the usage as a sin. So the burning of this debate is that we prove that we solve the problem by demonstrating that the transparency will inevitably rise when abolishing this tax, since the transparency is necessarily tied with the opposite situation, taking the legal route. So what are the criteria of this debate? How do we win this debate? The team that makes the sex worker safer and doesn't push them into the more informal, exploitative, and dangerous situation. So the main question of this debate is if should a legal profession be financially punished or should all workers be treated equally? So our team line is the first sub. It will increase the transparency and safety. And the second sub, it will treat workers like it treats workers as immorally inferior. So I would like to start talking about the first sub, is that in the status quo, the pornography industry doesn't work efficiently and produces the worst outcome. Why is that? Taxes are so high that they lead to people either raising the price or working illegally. Raising the price, like to be able to support themselves. For a lot of people, this is their only work, and since their income is already not stable, they can't risk not being able to gain enough money to get by. Therefore, they end up raising their prices to pay taxes and still live in a good enough condition. So some people who don't want to increase their prices because they know this will lead them to not having enough clients and still not be able to get by. So they decided to evade taxes. This is all because they found themselves having to pay not only a normal tax, but also a high amount for ethical taxes. And this causes problems not only for the creator itself, but also for all the industry that progressively become less controlled. How can you control something that is done illegally? With no regulation, pornography becomes a dangerous tool, especially in the hands of young people. Why would we want more access to it? Do we really want the industry to become uncontrollable and dangerous? This is a problem because a nation's main focus has to be the general well-being of its citizens. With these taxes, you're not only assuring that the person doing the work gains the minimum wage of the survival, but you're also increasing tax evasion. So by removing this tax, we remove the incentive that pushes sex workers to go into the informal market. So what are the impacts? Is that the pornographic content creators who don't have to raise their prices or work illegally just to get by, and the safety of children and teenagers who won't have access to dangerous content for them, and the general transparency in the industry because there is no risk of it becoming uncontrollable. So I would like at the end to do a little comparative. In the status quo, a girl decides that she wants to start pornographic content as her main income. She then finds herself having to give away around 40% of her income who's not always the same. So to get by, she decided to work illegally to gain all her money. By doing so, children will have access to her content and the state will gain nothing from her work. So what are we solving? By removing this ethical tax, we have a new solution. The same girl as before now finds herself to only have to pay the state around 20% of her income, which is a reasonable tax that permits her to get by with her gaining. Working illegally is actually better for her because she is legally protected and is safer for her. In this way, children are also safer. So this is the end of my speech. Thank you.
Thank you. The first speaker spoke 8 minutes and 7 seconds. When my colleagues are ready, say ready.
Okay, I'm
Ready,
ready.
ready.
Okay, perfect. I give the word to the first speaker of opposition team. Please, when you want.
Okay. I'm ready, and my speech will begin in 1, 2, 3. Good evening, I'm Beatrice Zedda, and I'm the first speaker of the opposition team. Before going on with my speech, I'd like to rebut to what the first speaker of the proposition team said. It seems to me that we have a complete opposite view on all the topics of this debate. First of all, she talked about ethical taxes being applied to industries like alcohol and smoking, and she wanted to start her speech by explaining how they are harmful for society because they cause addiction and how different they are from pornography industry. But we found them actually being very, very similar to one another because they both cause very bad condition for the society. Because this will also be explained in my speech, but mostly we believe that pornography industry actually sponsorizes like the objectification of women to the pleasure of men, and they are actually very harmful for people that are minors, which still have access to this kind of contents, naive people or mentally unstable people, and we don't know the way they could react or how they could use the information that they gain from this kind of content, and then use them to act into our society and make bad decisions. Also, they said that without this tax, there will be more transparency of this kind of industry, of these contents, and the message will not get to underage people. But we actually believe that it's the exact opposite, because we think that the taxation is something necessary to reduce the the production of this kind of content of porn images, because usually we're not only talking about singular sex workers. They said that usually when we talk about this kind of industry, we're talking about singular people and we're affecting their lives, but actually it's a very diffuse phenomenon, the one of companies that like exploit actually sexual worker, and they're the one who are actually gaining from it. Therefore, by reducing the tax, we will abolishing it, we will actually give them more money to keep producing content. Meanwhile, if we make them pay, because the main point of this debate is to state and explain how this tax is actually something very unethical. There is a problem to our society. We're talking about it because more and more people are seeing it as a way to gain money with the objectification of their body, and without even like to study or to work seriously. So it's bad that in our society it's eradicated the concept of exploiting people to gain money from their body, and also people objectifying themselves to gain money. But I'd like now to continue with my speech and state our team line, which is the fact that we believe that ethical tax for sex workers should be abolished. Shouldn't be abolished because it is a way to discourage every work regarding production or sale of pornographic content. I'm the first speech, and I will demonstrate to you that pornography industry contributes to harm of ideologies in the minds of vulnerable people, such as teenagers, and we believe that this behavior shouldn't be endorsed. Then Sofia Benifai, the second speaker, will explain to you the huge development of the pornography industry is leading towards a further devaluation of bodily image. And then I will be the third speaker, and I will reinforce our team line and reback to what the proposition team will say. And then Sophia will deliver the reply speech. But let's go on. Let's talk about how pornography was born. It's not something that has developed recently in our society. It lays its roots very deep in time. For example, even in medieval time, but even before, people used to go through life and finding self-pleasure by looking at portraits of women that used to sell their body or were mainly forced to sell their body in the past, for example, harlots. But also, this phenomenon has continued, and in the recent years, in the recent century, actually, there's been the diffusion of magazines that are their mainly objective, the objectification of women's image. In a society like ours, where doesn't matter how much the government is trying to promote like the sensibilization towards this kind of topics, but there are more and more male who still practice domestic violence, sexual violence, or feminicide, and we believe that this kind of actions. Yes, exactly.
Sorry, but how is domestic violence linked to pornography? And also, we're not only talking about women, but we are talking about all sex workers. So please engage with that. And also, if people did it in the past, why is it wrong now?
No, we say that it's something that it was wrong even in the past, and that's something that it was born. Like we still live in a patriarchal society, so obviously pornography workers are also male, but mostly pornography is a phenomenon that was born to satisfy male by objectifying women's body, and many kind of pornography content, women is seen as an object, is submitted to the man, and also in their sexual intercourse, the man is often violent to the woman, and he believes that he can control her and use her as an object for self-pleasure. So, for example, if a woman doesn't want to have sexual intercourse with her husband on a particular day, he may be violent towards her because he believes that it's his right, not only because of our society, but because he is exposed to this kind of content which are harmful. But as I was saying, I accept.
Sorry, but what about the free will of women? They decide to do that. They're not made to do it like by anyone else.
This happens. We agree. This is like something that actually happens, but many women are exploited. Like, we know that there are independent workers, but we believe that it's part of the problem, that women think that it's something good to sell themselves, sell their body to gain money. It's part of the problem of our patriarchal society. But also, we believe that this could cause problems in the mind of vulnerable people, naive people, teenagers will grow up with this kind of ideals. And it's harmful for the society. So we want to present a counterplan, and we believe that since people are exploited or people decide to do it, keeping this tax could actually be invested in making this industry safer by funding more regular checks on the safety of the workplaces, which are often overlooked, and they can cause many sexually transmitted diseases, for example. And so we believe that it is important, and we prove with arguments and evidences that actually pornography contributes to harmful ideology in our society, and it has not to be encouraged. I'll go on the speech now. Thank you.
Thank you. 8 minutes and 26 seconds. Okay. My colleagues are okay. Yes.
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. Thank you. I give the ground to the second speaker of proposition team.
Okay, everyone can hear me?
Yes.
So I'll get my timer. Okay. So my speech will start in 3, 2, 1. Okay. So we just want to clear out as propositionals that we are debating about abolishing the ethical tax, and it's not the ethical tax on sex workers in the production or sale of pornographic content that is not exclusive to women. It's about all sex workers. Sex workers are also men and people that don't identify. Then I will start by rebutting some of the points that the first speaker of opposition team brought, and then I will go on with our second argument. So she said that in their view, smoke, alcohol are similar to pornography, while we treat them differently because they harm directly the smoke and alcohol harm directly the person using them, whereas pornography doesn't. Then, as a second thing, they said that they want to have this tax because it is pornography is objectifying women bodies for men. As I stated before, it's not only women who does the content, and it's not only men who consume it, first of all. And then second of all, as Marina said in her POI, the sex workers that get into this industry, they do it for their own free will. Then she said that society is exploiting people to gain money. We say, and as my first speaker brought, we say that if this tax is not abolished, so if this tax stands, people are more going towards the informal sector. So there will be a lot more exploitation rather than abolishing the ethical tax. By abolishing the ethical tax, we go towards the actual legal work where it's more difficult that people get exploited. Then she said that she talked about how pornography was born, whatever, and she said that in ancient times, men, and let's clarify, it's not only men, watched portraits of women bodies or whatever, and she says that this is something that it needs to be condemned, and I do not think so, and us as pro-house don't believe so, because sexual desire is part of human nature, or else we won't procreate, or like it wouldn't be in our brain if it wasn't in human nature. And it's not just because we are exposed to pornography that we have this desire. And that is the explanation that she brought by history, and that works better in our case. And then she said that teenagers are exposed and that damages society. We say the same thing, but in our case, by abolishing the ethical tax, this teenager will be less exposed, because first, if the sex workers go into the illegal industry rather than the legal one, there will be even more teenagers that just say, yeah, I want to gain money, so why can't I become a sex worker? If it's in the illegal market, there is no legal laws that says that they can do that. But by abolishing these tax, we push workers toward actually the legal part. So, for example, teenagers can't access that. Now, I will start by our second argument, that is that this ethical tax treats workers as morally inferior and isn't treating everybody equally. Because this ethical tax is not merely financial instrument, but rather an institutional expression of a moral judgment. Because if you think about it, not every job is treated the same way by having these taxes. Whereas if we abolish it, every job is at the same level. By taxing sex workers of the porn industry by another 25% in addition to normal taxes, the state is communicating that their legal work is inferior or morally corrupt. That obviously creates discrimination. So by imposing the ethical taxes, the state is saying that they do not deserve equal treatment, they are less moral than other workers, and they can be financially punished for something they do for their profession, so for something legal. This causes also the discrimination that is made by the state, cause also private actors such as banks, employers, or platforms to follow with the discrimination. So if the state discriminates the workers in the sex industry, why a private shouldn't? So when the state does tax it, their profession is punished, their income is treated as moral illegitimate, and the government itself labels them as ethically problematic. This gets to our first point. So they conclude that the state is not on their side. This goes towards them being pushed rather and being more willing to go toward the informal labor to avoid this ethical tax. And this brings us back to our first argument that says that by abolishing this ethical tax, and so that increasing the earnings, we increase also transparency and safety, because we do not push them towards the informal sector, but rather to the legal work. So when sex workers see their profession is punished and their income treated as illegitimate, they lose trust in the institution. This drives them away from the formal economy and pushes them towards the informal, so unsafe and unregulated environments. That directly links back to our first argument. So the ethical tax is one of the main reasons that the sex workers cannot work transparently or safely. And this brings us to the impact. So by removing the ethical tax, we break this cycle. Without an institutional discrimination, workers are far more willing to declare income, use legal platform, access protection, and report abuse if it happens. So this increases transparency, safety, and tax compliance, and society benefits from reduced discrimination, stronger institution, and a fairer, more inclusive system where legal workers are treated equally under the law. Isn't it something in almost every constitution that everyone should be treated equally? So why should a worker that is doing a legal job be taxed more than every other worker? Like, shouldn't they be on the same level? We bring the example that if a girl wants to become a sex worker, she might feel judged, so she would probably evade taxes in the end, so she would work illegally in the opt-out work. Whereas in our world, by abolishing the tax, she will work legally and won't feel judged anymore. For this reason, I've never been prouder to propose. That's the end of my speech.
Thank you. 8 minutes and 16 seconds. Okay. Ready? Michaela, ready? Yes, Rosangelo. In Rosangelo. So, the ground pass to the second speaker of opposition team. Sofia, please.
Thank you. My speech will start in 3, 2, 1. Good evening. As the second speaker of the opposition team, I'd like, first of all, to strengthen the arguments presented by Beatrice, because I think they were misunderstood by the proposition team. She actually said that the pornographic industry contributes to harmful ideology. She has never said that the sex workers are just women, and that the porno content are just consumed by male. Our point was that it just gives an incorrect ideology of what the world is like. She didn't say that the female figure is the only one who works in this industry. She said that it's been used, exploited to make not something about sex desire, but more like something about the devaluation of the body of the women, but also of the male. But of course, it has born as something to give more benefit to men, as everything that is just that leads this patriarchic society. Then I'd like to rebut what they said, because the main thing they said is that the first speaker said that the ethical tax is applied to what give arms to an industry. And they said that the pornographic industry doesn't give harm, but comparing this to alcohol, smoke, that can give addiction. But don't you think that even porn can give addiction? We know for sure that there are people addicted by porn, and that can lead to real problem like hypersexuality, which is a problem because you can't control your actions, and it can lead to doing things without really knowing what you are doing. And they've said that this tax make people, sex workers, of course, feeling inferior, and so don't treat the workers equally. But the main point of this tax is to show that the pornography isn't a good thing. It is an activity that shouldn't be promoted, as every ethical tax is applied to things that can give actual harm. So returning to our team line that says that the ethical tax shouldn't be abolished because it is a way to discourage this kind of work. This kind of work, of course, regarding the sale, but also the production, but also the sale of pornographic content with so big company. For example, we can talk about the OnlyFans. And now I'd like to go on with another point that they've talked about, which is the point about the raising the price or raising the price would come to the price of the taxes, who come to more evasion of those, and or working illegally. Working illegally, of course, I agree, it's worse than doing something that is, of course, regulated. But because with no regulation, as they said, it can become a harmful tool. But it is harmful even if it's legalized. And this is the point, again, of this tax, to reduce the use of it, because it's harmful if legalized or... Yeah.
Sorry, don't you think it will be more harmful since it will be illegal? So it will be more like young people will be more exposed to it. can you please engage with the fact?
Yeah, I agree with you. It's but I don't think the point is the young people would be more into this, because it actually with abolishing this, I think that with abolishing this tax, the young people would be more into this thing, because there will be more sex workers into this industry because they wouldn't want to pay the tax. So if it's abolished, new people who will come on into this kind of work, and more young people who will maybe like to do this, has seen it as an opportunity to make easy money without thinking about the consequences. I think that the main problem that the illegality could cause is that the workers wouldn't be controlled, of course, and it would be an harm more for them than for the users, because I think that the consumers actually don't care if they are doing something legally or illegally. They just want to watch it. Okay. Now I'd like to go on with my my argument. So the second argument of our team, which is that, of course, following the idea of the abolishment of this did not abolish this tax, that the progressive development of the pornographic industry that would happen without this tax is leading towards a further devaluation of the body image. And as I have said before, more and more people are seeing it as an opportunity to make easy money without thinking about the consequences. So the devaluation of the body image happens because we see the actual idea of sex as a thing that can be used publicly, and it's not anymore something intimate and private that should be, because I think this, of course, can be something to desire, but it's something about relationships, and the public promotion shouldn't really happen. And it's all about the women and male figure being exploited. The male figure is affected with the pornographic industry, because the idea of a masculine male is spread, a male who is strong and can dominate on the woman. So the idea of the woman is also exploited, because they think that yes.
Sorry, but porn isn't only between male and female, it's also between two females or two males, so it doesn't just get between one and the other and spread, like affects our society by the relationship between male and female. Please engage with that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I gave you this idea. I didn't want to. I was just saying the idea of a male, if you want a heterosexual male or a female, but any it doesn't really matter with whom is this relation to me. It's just it gives in the most consumed sex pornographic contents, which is between a male and a female, the idea of a male who actually dominates on the woman, with a woman being exploited to a patriarchal society. And I think this is the main problem that gives us the idea that these taxes shouldn't be abolished. Thank you. This is the end.
Thank you. 8 minutes and 10 seconds. Okay, perfect. The
Okay,
first
just
speaker, yes.
one second, please.
Yeah. Don't worry.
As for the other two, if you have to do any POI, just please talk. It is better for me. Thank you. So I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Op is trying to tell us that the tax is good because the tax is good because the tax help you eliminate pornography overall. They think that just by having the ethical tax, you can eliminate pornography. But if pornography still exists, then all opposition thinking just collapse, and it shows that it's not good, and it doesn't work, because if pornography still exists nowadays, even with the ethical tax, then we can't just eliminate it. They also proved with their own words that pornography can't just be eliminated like that. They said it. Pornography has always existed. It existed for thousands of years. So why now how could we now trying to eliminate it? As the third speaker of this debate, what can you expect from my speech? I will go through the clashes of this debate, and then I'll just resume our team line. So what are the main clashes? First one, who reduces exploitation better? So who assures more safety for the workers overall, which collapse into the second clash, who is resisting the tax. Does it increase the number of workers in the pornography industry? And the third, who better protects teenagers? So going on with the first clash, who assures more safety for the workers? As I already explained to you, pornography can't just be eliminated because it has always existed. So knowing so, even having an ethical tax just means that workers are still going to work. The difference is, as my first speaker already explained, that they would go and work illegally. This means that they are not protected overall. They have no contract protecting them. They're not protected by their state, and they're not protecting even the people who are using their service. Their image is not protected. So why is this bad? This is bad because a state main purpose is to protect his people and assure his well-being. By doing so, you are not protecting it. You are just basically telling them to work illegally because it's safer for them. They think what opposition is trying to sell you is that no taxes, that people just go and work into the pornographic industry because it means easy money. If it's easy money, it's easy money even with the taxes, because they would just go and work illegally. The amount of people that works with the ethical tax and that don't are the same, because if someone just wants to sell their body, they are going to do it anyway. They have the free will to do it. As my second speaker spent a lot of time explaining, it's also about free will. People have the free will to do it. They have the free will to work and sell their image if they want to. So they're still going to do it. The difference is, just one second, please. The difference is if they're going to do it safe and legally, or if they're going to do it illegally. Yes, you can now ask me your POI.
But don't you think that the main problem of our society is that we are normalizing the fact that people should feel okay with selling their bodies as a way to earn money and feel realized in life?
We are not normalizing it if we are removing the tax. But even if we were normalizing it, why would that be a problem? We are not. That doesn't mean that it's not a problem. They're just because people, what you don't understand is that even without the tax, people still sell themselves. So maybe people still objectify themselves. You are saying that ethical taxes mean people thinking. A person can still sell their body and still see pornographic images even without a tax. Actually, they would see it more. They would see it illegally. And that just means that you would objectify even more the people, because if people start working illegally, they really start to sell their images, because that's not a job anymore, because it is done illegally. But if you have a tax, that if you have good taxes that are not too much. People work legally, therefore that's a job. Therefore, it's not objectifying their body, it's just a job, which is totally different. I will now like to pass to the second question, which is actually, we already talked about that. So would reducing the tax increase the number of workers? No, actually not, because if someone wants to sell their body, then they would just do it anyway. Also, I would like to say that you talked about how pornography gives addiction. Oh, okay, everything does give addiction if it's done too much, so that's not different for pornography. But what my first speaker said is that comparing it to smoking cigarette and drinking alcohol, it does not harm your health. You are not dying because you're seeing porno. You are just you can be addicted to it and you cannot be addicted to it, but it doesn't mean that you are gonna die. While smoking cigarettes and drinking alcohol, you can die for that. And also, if you do it legally, we could actually argue that you do it less than you did it before, as that falls into our first clashes. So who better protects the teenagers? If the workers work illegally, they are like, all people have access to their work, which means that teenagers and small children have access to pornography. You know how dangerous that is? And that is only because people decide to work illegally. Otherwise, they would not have access to it. That could really harm them. So doing legally actually harm them less, because it protects the people that would be harmed more by pornography. It protects the workers. It protects literally everyone. You say also that women would do it and like that women are objectified, but if someone decides to do it, that just means that they would do it anyway. And so to summarize our point, we believe that making it illegal and removing the taxes would just like lead to a safer industry, because we can't just, let's face it, we can't eliminate pornography, but we can make it better for everyone else. We can just not objectify a person's body, and we don't know how can we do that if we give the person their right amount of tax for the work and the service they provide. They will not go and work illegally. If they do not go and work there legally, their work is just a work. So this just means that it's obviously not objectifying their body. And also, you tried to tell us that just by pornography, people start to treat bad, like you said, boys start to treat bad women. First, that doesn't have any groundings. Second of all, if teenagers have access to, if that's your believing, so even if that was real, if teenagers had access to pornography, that just means that from a young age, people would just start objectifying people's body. When you're young, that's the main moment when your brain develops. So by doing illegally, you are actually doing more what you are against of. But if you just protect it, then at some point, if you really believe that it's going to like cause them to feel superior, then at 18, you'll be old enough to know that this is not the truth. And with that, I would like to close my speech by saying that we are so proud to propose, because we believe that a safer environment is just safer for everyone else.
Thank you. 8 minutes and 14 seconds. And so I think that we can give the ground to the last constructive speech of this debate. When you're ready.
I'm ready, and my speech will start in 1, 2, 3. Okay, good evening. It's me again, Beatrice, and I will be the third speaker of this debate. And I will start to reinforce our team line while rebutting to what the proposition team said. First of all, we've been accused to want to eliminate pornography, but we actually understand that it's something that is so radicated into society that it cannot be removed. We don't want to remove. We don't pretend, like we don't actually believe that will be able to remove it, but we think that we can discourage it by keeping the taxation. And also another important thing that has been brought up many times is that we will encourage illegal pornography by keeping this tax, and that we don't care for we actually don't care for sexual workers' rights, that we don't assure their safety, and they were like being discriminative towards them. But actually, in our counterplan, we propose to use this tax to invest it in making the industry safer. Actually, we know that pornography can just disappear, but we just want to reduce this, and with the money that people are giving to the government, then the government will be able to make the industry safer if there are people who wants to do that, by funding more regular checks on the safety of the workplaces, which are often overlooked and can cause many sexually transmitted diseases. So this is actually something that the government can do. So it's not true that an illegal behavior is being favored. Actually, it is the exact opposite. The government should take those money, but should make sure that they are used for that purpose. Then there also been the comparison between alcohol and smoking and pornography, because they don't have. Yes.
Sorry, it can be safer all you want, but if I don't have the money to get by, what do I do?
Oh, but you'll have the money to get by, because with your money you won't have to worry about those kind of things anymore, because the government is actually looking out for you and helping you if you actually want to do that. This is not like the taxation you proposed is not the difference from the one that actually is currently being used by the government. So I don't see that much of a difference when we can just make sure that the government will use this money for good, for helping those people.
POI.
And actually, I accept.
Sorry, but the money from taxation actually goes towards more infrastructures. So if you say that money goes towards those same sex workers, why is it a tax? And how are you reducing it?
Oh, we're not reducing it. We have to propose a counterplan, and we're saying that this money, the taxation money, could be used. It's not that it's being used, but it could be used, because like saying that you may be right, and then maybe it's the state should not ask for that kind of money from sex workers. At least we recognize that, and we're saying that this kind of money should be taken by the state to regularize pornography, but it could actually be used to help them in a safer environment. And also, as I was saying, we're talking about the addiction, and you said it is something that doesn't harm people's health, but it does indirectly, because illness of society are not less important than physical illness. As we said, pornography is not only men objectifying and sexualizing women. We know that, I've said that, but what is causing problem to society is the fact that some men actually do this. And you said that there's no proof, but it actually has been proved, and is considered one of the cases for which men I don't accept it, sorry, it's been considered one of the causes for which men actually are violent towards women. So we don't say it's the only case. We're not saying that by discouraging pornography will resolve this problem, but we're trying to help in all the ways that we can. And also, they also said that this taxation will make producer increase their prices, so that people, the consumers, will like be encouraged to other ways. But actually, by keeping the taxation, we just want to reduce the like the knowledge, social, like the general knowledge of this phenomenon for younger ages, because we believe that if we increase the prices, also for the consumers, we could reduce impulsive consumption, which is currently a heavily diffused phenomenon between teenagers. And easily impress people in general, because both teams believe that it's very important to prevent teenager safety. But we have very different views on this, because this phenomenon actually heavily affects people with childhood traumas related to sexual abuses, and those people can be directly affected by consuming an excessive amount of pornography materials, which often leads to then hypersexuality, which is a condition that harms many aspects of their lives, and could also lead them to be involved in the sexual industry. And he said that many people do it on free will, and we said it's okay. People who do it on free will, they will pay the taxes, will be protected. But there are also companies who exploit people that have been raised in toxic environment and that have this kind of mentality, which is okay to objectify their body because they have no other choice. And they haven't been educated in any other way. They just don't understand. Or people with that struggle economically and they need money sooner. And this is a way to make money without necessarily having to have studied. So it's just a way of exploiting people. If we make these people pay higher taxes, also the companies that are behind the singular sex workers, then maybe we could decrease, for example, the amount of pornography produced. But also the problem is that in our society people are influenced to join this kind of like pornographic sector. People get easily influenced, I don't accept, sorry, which can result into them being trapped in a toxic environment. And even if they manage to get out of the toxic environment eventually in the future, they still have to face the lifelong consequences of their past, the fact that they've been sex workers. Because we have to remind you that this we're discussing about it because it's an ethical task, so it's an ethical problem. We are objectifying people's body, not only women, but we're objectifying them. And the problem is that we believe that it's okay to gain money from selling people's body. And we believe that it's technically incorrect. That in general, not only women, but that just as a society, we shouldn't normalize this phenomenon. It just because it can cause harm to the society, to an ideology. And also, as we said before, increase the amount of people who are violent, not only toward women, but in general. It's just harmful to the society. It's an harmful ideology, and we believe that even though pornography is being present in history since forever, we cannot eliminate it, but we can reduce it, and we can assure that sex workers are protected by keeping this taxation. I'll end my speech. Thank you.
Thank you. 8 minutes and 15 seconds. Okay. So, if Sofia is ready, the last speech of opposition team is on you.
Yes, thank you. My speech will start in 3, 2, 1. Okay, before moving on to my reply, I'd like to thank you all for this debate that we attended this evening. And first of all, I remember the motion we discussed, which was that this House would abolish the ethical tax for sex workers in the porn industry. And but we've, as the opposition team, showed that this shouldn't actually happen. I'd start by analyzing the main point of clash that we encountered. So the first one is about the actual objective of the tax that we have different views on. So we think that the objective of the tax is to actually discourage the pornographic industry, while they think that this tax wouldn't stop encouraging pornographic, but would make the worker feel inferior and don't treat workers equally. But while the actual objective of the tax is to stop the pornography, which, as we have already told in our speech, is a problem because it devalues the importance of our body. This is the only way that the government can do something about do. And as you said, the government can't control something that is illegal. So they control the legal side of the pornographic industry by adding up taxes, thinking and hoping, of course, that less people would get into this industry, this kind of work. But the main problem that we encountered and we talked about is the legal and illegal side that the proposition team talked about in their speech. So they said that with this ethical tax, there will be more illegal sex working, but they have been talking more about the consumers of this than the sex workers, while the motion is talking about the sex workers in the porn industry. So the main point is that aren't the sex workers doing it illegally, the consumers are, by watching pornographic content that they couldn't see before the age of 18. But this isn't because of this tax. It's because there are no control on the actual consumers of this industry, not because of the control on the workers, which I think are enough, and this tax actually can prove it. So the consumers, they have access to it even if it's legal. So teenagers, as consumers, illegal consumers, have access to something that they shouldn't be put into. And this is the main problem. But you haven't talked about how are sex workers doing it illegally. You have just claimed that there are consumers talking about seeing content they shouldn't do, but not caused by, not related to this ethical tax. So in the end, to recap our debate, I think that we have proved and with clear arguments that this illegal tax should remain, as it is a way to, as a pornographic industry, it's a way to devalue our body as a female, but also as of course, male, as you wanted to say most of the times while we're talking about this. And I think you all agree that it is better to live where there is no problem, and there is no problem in the value of the body, and we all can agree that our body has an very strong importance and couldn't be sold to video content. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. You spoke for 3 minutes and 10 seconds. And so, this long debate is about to finish. When you're ready, we are ready.
Can everybody hear me? Is everything clear? So can I start? Okay, thank you. My reply will start in 3, 2, 1. Opposition House, by saying that a job is just the objectification of a body, is as saying that soldiers objectify themselves because they sell their body to the state. So I will start my reply by saying that this was a great debate. There was both teams engaged with both of the teams' team lines. And I want to start by analyzing the main clashes. So the first clashes that I want to analyze is who protects the youngers better, and the second is who reduces exploitation. And at the end, I will do a comparative. So who protects the young better? So the Proposition House demonstrated that abolishing the tax will increase transparency, and the risk of not abolishing this tax is to arrive to an increasing of the illegal porn industry, leading to young people being more exposed. The Opposition House contradicted themselves. The first speaker, quote, I will quote it, we want to discourage the sale of pornography content. So this will make youngers be less exposed. But later, the second speaker said that the youngest people will be drawn more because of the content. So the Proposition House wins this clash because they had a cohesive line, wanting to protect the youngers and also the workers. So the second clash was who reduces exploitation. So the proposition house proving that the illegal market will rise, exploitation will rise in the same way. So abolishing the tax, it will lead to a transparent environment and it will reduce the exploitation. And the opposition house tried to prove how abolishing this tax, the exploitation will reduce, but it couldn't prove it properly when the illegal market rising is brought in the picture. So the proposition house reducing the illegal market, exploited people will lower, but also it will make it a better environment for those who want to be a sex workers. So the proposition house also wins this clash because it protects by protecting and make it a safer environment for more workers. So I would like to do at the end a little comparative. So in the proposition house, workers will live in a better environment. They will get less judged and have a more transparent and safe environment. On the other hand, the opposition house, the workers will take an illegal route because the first speaker and the second speaker took a lot of time explaining how that is inevitable. And this illegal route will increase the exploitation. So the proposition house wins this debate because it creates a safer environment, protecting the younger workers and consumers. At the end, I would like to talk about the impacts of the proposition house, retake it, so we can underline how these impacts are more relevant than in the opposition house. So the impacts of the proposition house is that the pornography content creator who wouldn't raise the price of work will do it illegally, won't do it illegally. And the fact that it protects the safety of the children and teenagers, and it gives general transparency in the industry. And by removing the ethical tax, it breaks the cycle. So without intentional discrimination, workers are far more willing to declare income, use of legal platforms, and access protection and report abuse. So this is the end of my reply. Thank you.
Thank you. And 3 minutes and 48 seconds. So I ask you a great applause for everyone because it was a great debate. Congratulations. And I stop the registration. Ok. Bravi, molto bravi.